Dinos was the first full deck that I ever built in Yu-Gi-Oh! When the Dino Smashers Fury structure deck came out and I decided I wanted to actually play a proper deck, I decided to buy 3 copies of that and see what I could do from there. And from there, I have evolved it and bought all the new cards and carried on with the Dino deck as it's come. But we've been lacking in a little bit of support recently. Obviously, there's Ryuji that came out recently, but I haven't put together a build for that just yet. What I have done is search for other variants. One of the other variants that I found was originally posted, or the video that I originally found was from Spanky YGO. And he put together a Dino deck using Thunder Dragon Colossus when that came off the ban list. Now, his video is fantastic. Go and watch that. He shows you all of the combos in order to be able to get that Thunder Dragon Colossus out. My build is different to what Spanky YGO did, but it's a similar sort of basis behind it. So I want to give him the credit for his video. But yeah, let's get into the video. Let's get into the profile and see what we can cook up with Dino Thunder Dragon Colossus. Don't these two big behemoths just look fantastic together? It looks like it was meant to be. We've got Ultimate Conductor Tyranno next to Thunder Dragon Colossus here. I'm going to be posting a link to Spanky YGO's video down in the description. Make sure that you go and check that out as well. It is a little bit old, the video that I found. I don't know if he's done a sequel to it or anything like that. So it is a little bit old. The one that I found, it's got Appaloosa still in, which has obviously been on the ban list for a little while. But it can give you another idea because he does go down a different route than I did. He goes down more of a hand trap route. But we are starting off with 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, our big boss monster for the deck. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 2 dinosaur type monsters from your graveyard. Once per turn, during either player's main phase, you can destroy 1 monster in your hand or field, and if you do, change all face-up monsters that your opponent controls to face-down defense position. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each at the start of the damage step. If this card attacks a defense position monster, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent, and if you do, send that defense position monster to the graveyard. Incredibly powerful boss monster in Dinos. It's the reason that I love playing Dinos so much, because that monster is just so cool. Next up, we have got the best normal summon in the deck. We've got 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. So, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can take 1 dinosaur type monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can target 1 other level 4 or lower dinosaur type monster on the field, destroy it, then special summon 1 dinosaur type monster from your graveyard in defense position. You can only use each effect of Soul Eating Oviraptor once per turn. Really useful to be able to get that in your hand. It's really useful to being able to destroy some of the baby cards, which we're going to get to in a second. Next up, we have a single copy of Miscellaneousaurus. Have you ready? Konami, can you please take this off the ban list? Please, I'm begging you. During either player's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. During this main phase, dinosaur-type monsters that you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can banish any number of dinosaur-type monsters from your graveyard, including this one. Special summon 1 dinosaur-type monster from your deck with a level equal to the total number of monsters banished to activate this effect, but destroy it during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Miscellaneousaurus once per turn. Incredibly powerful card. I get why it's limited, but also dinos aren't that strong. They're very good, but they aren't that strong, and Misk being at 3 doesn't hurt on Master Duel, so I don't see why it can't be at 3 in the TCG. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Baby Cerosaurus. If this card is destroyed by card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower dinosaur-type monster from your deck. Important thing is, that is not once per turn. We are going to be popping a lot of babies in this deck, including this one as well. We've got 2 copies of Petite Pteranodon. If this card is destroyed by card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or higher dinosaur-type monster from your deck, but it cannot attack this turn. So the fact that they overlap in level 4 as well is just really useful for the build. And you can also go for any of your level 6s or your level 7s as well. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Animadorned Archosaur.
If this card is normal or special summoned, you can destroy one dinosaur monster in your hand or face-up field, except for Animador and Archosaur. Then add one reptile, sea serpent, or winged beast monster with the same original level as that destroyed monster, or one evolution pill spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Animador and Archosaur once per turn. You're only ever adding double evolution pill in this particular build. I don't have anything else which can be searched by Animador and Archosaur, so double evolution pill is where it's at. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Kai Top Terror. I'm still running the Kai Top Terror build in my particular build. You can still go along the Giant Rex, but Kai Top Terror has the extra effects. So if your opponent controls 2 or more face-up monsters, except for wind monsters, those monsters cannot target this card for attacks. You can only use each of the following effects of Kai Top Terror once per turn. During your main phase, you can add one polymerization from your deck to your hand. And then if this card is banished, you can special summon it, and you can add one polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. So it just recycles that poly, which is really useful in this deck because we've got a couple of fusions. Next up, we've got the Xeno package. So we've got a single copy of Xeno Meteorus. If this card is destroyed... If a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can destroy one dinosaur monster in your hand or field, then special summon one dinosaur normal monster from your hand or deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except for dragon, dinosaur, sea serpent, or worm monsters. You can only use each effect of Xenometeorus once per turn. So you do get locked in with Xenometeorus, but it's kind of alright. For the most part, just get what you need to do outside of the dinosaur package first and then go in for your dinosaurs and dragons afterwards. And we pair that with a single copy of Frostosaurus to go with it. Next up, we've got a single copy of Dino Wrestler Pancratops. So, of course, Pancratops really useful. The fact that you can search a Pancratops is incredibly useful. So if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Dino Wrestler Pancratops once per turn this way. Quick effect, you contribute one Dino Wrestler monster, target one card that your opponent controls and destroy it. So nice, simple destruction that you can just special summon to get it on the board. Incredibly useful. Next up, we have got a single copy of True King Lithozogen, the Disaster. So if this card is in your hand, you can destroy 2 other monsters in your hand or face-up field, including an Earth monster, which both of the babies are Earth. And if you do special summon this card, and if you do that, and both destroyed monsters were Earth, you can also look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 monsters from it with different names. If this card is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon one non-Earth worm monster from your graveyard. Which we don't have any other worm monsters in this deck, but True King Lithozogen, just getting that destruction of those babies in order to special summon itself is really powerful. Okay, next we're going to go into the little package that we run in order to be able to summon out Thunder Dragon Colossus, starting with a single copy of Nemesis Flag. So Nemesis Flag has the effect of you can target one of your banished monsters except for Nemesis Flag, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck. During your main phase, you can add one Nemesis monster from your deck to your hand except for Nemesis Flag. You can only use each effect of Nemesis Flag once per turn. So we have to banish our Miscellaneousaurus in order to be able to get its search effect. So that means we can then shuffle Miscellaneousaurus back, which is incredibly powerful to be able to potentially get Miscellaneousaurus back. Because one thing that we always struggled with was just the one copy of Misk. So we can always potentially do that. We also have here one copy of Nemesis Corridor. This is what we're searching for when we use Nemesis Flag. You can target one of your banished monsters except for Nemesis Corridor, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck. You can target one of your banished Nemesis monsters except for Nemesis Corridor, add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Nemesis Corridor once per turn. So we have to banish a couple of things in the deck in order to summon out Ultimate Conductor Tyranno when we're using Misk's effect. So we do have to do a couple of little bits of banishing here and there. So we've always pretty much got a target to be able to shuffle back into the deck using both of these Nemesis cards in order to be able to use them. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. And finally, for the monsters, 3 copies of Veiler. So that is it for all of our monsters. Let's go into the spells and traps. That was the worst pickup I think I've ever done for these deck profiles. All right. Starting the spells. We are leading with 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Incredibly basic. Add 1 level 6 or lower dinosaur type monster from your deck to your hand. Very simple. Simple searcher. It is not once per turn. It's very powerful in the deck. Really useful for being able to get in for your Misk or your Soul Eating Oviraptor. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Ground Xeno. Another searcher. I like only playing 2 copies of this. Honestly, you could probably cut it down to 1 as well. The Ground Xeno package, for me, it's good, but there's other things that are also good as well. So add 1 dinosaur tuner or dinosaur normal monster from your deck to your hand, then destroy 1 card in your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon one dinosaur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. So the fusion is really useful. You can only use each effect of Ground Xeno once per turn. So the fusion part is really useful. The search is also really useful, but if you draw your Xeno Meteorus in this particular build, you're searching for Frostosaurus and that's it, which you don't necessarily want to do. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill. Banish 1 dinosaur monster and 1 non-dinosaur monster from your hand and or graveyard to special summon 1 level 7 or higher dinosaur monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can only activate 1 Double Evolution Pill per turn. Really, really useful for being able to summon your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno from the deck. Incredibly powerful. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Lost World, our Dino field spell. All monsters on the field lose 500 attack and defense except for dinosaur-type monsters. Once per turn, if a dinosaur-type monster is normal or special summoned, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 Jura Egg token, which is a dinosaur, Earth, level 1, with attack and defense of 0, to your opponent's field in defense position. While your opponent controls a token, they cannot target monsters on the field with card effects except tokens. Once per turn, if a normal monsters on the field would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can destroy that many dinosaur-type monsters in your hand and or deck instead. So really useful because that token is a normal monster. You can always just pop that in order to be able to get that search. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Dragonic Diagram. So we've got ways of searching for field spells in this build. So Dragonic Diagram along with Lost World is perfectly fine. All True Draco and True King monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. First time each tribute summoned True Draco or True King monster would be destroyed by battle each turn. It is not destroyed. Once per turn, you can destroy 1 other card that you control or in your hand, and if you do, add 1 True Draco or True King card from your deck to your hand. So it's got the double whammy of being able to grab the True King Lithozogen, but also it's got the destruction as well. So really powerful in the deck. And lastly, we are playing a single copy of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So I've still gone in for the kind of floodgatey Secret Village package. Using the Dark Charmer or like Relinquished Anima, which are both spellcasters. So if you control a spellcaster monster and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no spellcaster type monsters, you cannot activate spell cards. So yeah, really useful being able to summon out the Dark Charmer Gloomy and keep them flooded with Secret Village of the Spellcasters. And then lastly, we are playing a single copy of Polymerization for the spells, and then finishing off the main deck with 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. All right, that is everything in the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. Let's see what we've got going on there. And of course, we are starting with a single copy of Thunder Dragon Colossus. So Thunder Dragon Colossus is kind of the main thing that we're using to try and floodgate the opponent here. So it must be either fusion summoned or special summoned during the turn a Thunder monster's effect was activated in the hand by attributing 1 Thunder effect non-fusion monster, in which case you do not use Polymerization. So that is our Nemesis Corridor. That's what we're going to be tributing for this, because we activate that in the hand to special summon it, and then we can summon Thunder Dragon Colossus off it. Cards cannot be added from the main deck to your opponent's hand except by drawing them. If this card would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish 1 Thunder monster from your graveyard instead. So really powerful card and so easy to summon in this deck. Next up, we are playing a single copy of Transcendosaurus Gigantosaurus. If this card is special summoned, you can target one dinosaur monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Then, if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can destroy two cards. One from your hand or field, and one that your opponent controls. If this card is destroyed, you can shuffle one normal monster from your graveyard into the deck, then special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Transcendosaurus Gigantosaurus once per turn. Again, the amount of destruction that Gigantosaurus can create, plus he's a 3800, he's really strong. So, big body, plus a lot of destruction that it can do. Really handy. Next up, we're playing a single copy of Hornsaurus. This is how we're searching for our field spell. So this card can attack directly the turn it is special summoned. You can only use each of the following effects of Hornsaurus once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can place one field spell from your deck or graveyard face up in your field zone. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one dinosaur or dragon monster. So we can get an extra normal summon if we need to, but most of the time we're just using it to be able to search for those field spells. Alright, moving on to the Xyz, and this is what makes Thunder Dragon Colossus build kind of tick and makes it rather easy to play. We are playing a single copy of Infernal Flame Banshee. So it requires 2 level 4 monsters, which is very easy in Dinos. You can detach one material from this card to take one Pyro monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. If this card is banished and you control a Pyro monster, you can special summon this card, and if you do, it gains attack equal to the number of currently banished monsters times 100 until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Infernal Flame Banshee once per turn. So we're searching for Nemesis Flag with this. We search out Nemesis Flag. We then continue on using the Nemesis Flag to get the Nemesis Corridor. Nemesis Corridor then activates in order to be able to get the Thunder Dragon Colossus on the board. So that's the combo, essentially. Next up, we are playing a single copy of number 60, Dugaris the Timeless. So it requires 2 level 4 monsters. You can detach 2 materials from this card and activate one of the following effects. You skip your next draw phase, also draw 2 cards and discard 1. You can skip your next main phase 1, also special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position, or skip the battle phase of your next turn, also double the attack of 1 monster that you control until the end of this turn. You only use each effect of number 60 Dugaris the Timeless once per turn. That can put our Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to 7,000 attack and the ability to attack all monsters that your opponent controls, which makes it incredibly powerful. Next up, we are playing Evolza Dolka. 2 level 4 dinosaur monsters. When another monster's effect is activated, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Nice negate and destroy that you can use twice. And we've got a single copy of Evolza Lagia, 2 level 4 dinosaur monsters. When a monster would be normal summon or special summoned, or a spell or trap card is activated, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card to negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy it. And then a single copy of Evolza Lars. 2 level 6 monsters. Whilst this card has material, your opponent cannot target it with monster effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can detach 2 material from this card, or just 1 material if all this card's materials are reptile and or dinosaurs, and then target 1 face-up card that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. So a really strong negate package in Dinos there. Next up, our lone synchro that we've got in the deck, we are playing a single copy of Chengying. So for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense, and monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack and defense. If this card would be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish 1 card from your graveyard instead. If a card is banished, except during the damage step, you can banish 1 card from each of your opponent's field and graveyard. You can only use this effect of Chengying once per turn. Really strong. We're banishing cards fairly regular, so being able to get that is really powerful. All right, finishing up now with our link package. We've got a single copy of Relinquished Anime, just to be able to get our Animadorned Archosaur off the field. We've got a single copy of IP Masquerena, a single copy of SP Little Knight, 1 copy of Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 copy of Pentastag. Pentastag grants piercing to any card that it is pointed to. So the card that is below it, it will grant piercing to. If we can use that with Dagares, 7,000 attack piercing can attack all monsters that your opponent controls, and we can turn them into face down defense position through Ultimate Conductor Tyranno's effect. That's a really potent combo right there. And then lastly, we got a single copy of Access Code Talker for an extra big body if we need it. So that is it for the Dinosaur Thunder Dragon Colossus deck, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please let me know any builds that you are using, currently using Dinos, because it is one of my favourite decks to play. Please subscribe to the channel. It'd be very much appreciated if you could. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers before this channel turns 1 year old in May. So, yeah, it'd be a big ask to be able to get there, but hopefully we can. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll see you next time.